Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And again, before we start, please join my mailing list. Sorry, I'm adjusting the light because I am like so unprofessional, but it's okay, it's okay. This is all spontaneous, natural. Check out my website, check out my books as well, because you support me by ordering my books as well. And what else? That's about it. Today I am back after quite a long break with Ashala Yardley, who is one of my favorite people. And Ashala, on behalf of my viewers, the happiest birthday we are wishing you.
Oh, thank you, Anya. It was really delightful, and I'm looking forward to many more.
Thank you so much. You look wonderful. You're glowing, and I'm happy to be back with you. I have lots and lots of questions, but since I know that we will be connecting this month again, I'm not going to ask all of them. So I was thinking, what should I start with today? So to those of you who haven't came across Ashala Yardley yet, please check out her channel. She is very, very special lady, because this is not just about tarot cards. This is about intuitive, spiritual approach also to the questions that I ask. And that's how we are addressing those questions with Ashala, because sometimes people think that tarot is evil and those are not good ways of doing things. But I think by now we all can feel how many things have been twisted by the dark side, how they have been labeled or used against us, because wherever was the true power, they wanted to turn around and tell us that this is bad. And I would like you to have an open mind to our conversation today. So my first question would be, shall we start with money or shall we start with Boris Johnson as Ashala? What do you prefer?
Start with money. Go for the money.
Okay, so I have a little bit information which I have to read, and I'm sorry if I make mistake in English, but this is to give you a context about my... On December 9th of 2021, which is last year, the IMF, which stands for International Monetary Fund, has conducted a test that simulated a cyber attack on a global financial system. Before I continue with this, just a reminder, many of you know that there was also a simulated test that was done in 2019 for the pandemic, before that actually happened. So they were testing that. So now we have this a year, 2 years later in 2021 with the money situation. That test included 10 countries that participated in it, and that simulated, I'm quoting, war game, as they said, lasted for 10 days, that simulation. That simulation also used, wow, okay. That simulation used, as part of that war game, used the fake news reports that in the scenario as such caused chaos in the global markets and a run on the banks. So I have more information here. But what I would like to ask you, Ashala, is this. Clearly, they have done the testing, the simulation testing last year. We have spoken about actually, you've mentioned this several times, that I asked you what you think they are planning next to hit us with. And you said it will be something with the money. So when I came across this information, you came back to my mind right away. And I would like to ask you now, is this going to happen? If so, when? And if this is about this CBDC introduction, bail-in, meaning they do what they did in Greece or Cyprus. They take people literally who had savings in the bank will be wiped out from this money. So this is my question about this particular testing of IMF. Where is this going? What is the outcome for us after this?
Okay, great. Thank you, Anya. Would you just clarify for me, because you were cutting out a little bit. So the simulation took place when, and when was it supposedly going to happen?
We don't know when this will happen, but the testing was done in December last year, December 9th of 2021.
Right. Okay. So first of all, there's a lot of things coming in through this, so I'm just going to try to put them in order. First of all, I feel that there was originally a plan to implement this. They've actually done similar simulated exercises before, and they have run similar kind of prototypes of this kind of, it's a theme that they bring out again and again, like an echo. So, you know, financial instability, the response from the media, the run on the banks, like these kinds of things have been, you know, they do them in small ways periodically. So the original intention, I believe, was somewhere between like June, July, or August. That was the original intention. And I remember that I saw something in my my yearly forecast that June was going to be a month where we would get some kind of a scare like that. Now, I have since seen a shift in that, and I'm going to tell you in a minute what I've seen. I feel like they are shifting and replacing that particular model with something else that has to do with technology, but we'll get back to that in a second. So what I feel is that there has to be a lot of factors in place to make this move smoothly. This is one of the things when they're playing these kinds of, you called it, you know, the war games or whatever, the idea is that they want their agendas to move relatively smoothly and almost undetected in terms of, like, the more they can make it seem like something happening out there, the better. Mm-hmm. Well, that is, right now we are in a climate where it's going to be very hard for them to do that, because there's a lot of, like, they're under the microscope, you know, there's a lot of eyes on their maneuvers, and it feels like they have postponed that in favor of something else, and that's good. I do get a feeling their intention is to reschedule it for the fall, like maybe October. But I also feel like by that time we will have parameters in place that are going to block a lot of that from going forward smoothly. Again, you know, a smooth maneuver, right? So they're looking at how many blocks, how many hurdles would they have to hop over or manage to circumvent in order to pull this off. And it's become, like, right now, there's a lot of hurdles. So do you want to hear where I see they're actually shifting their focus? It's into, and this has come in readings this week, it's into a technology grab. And so this actually came in through readings that I was doing, and it was related to people who are working with off-worlders, and a message came through that the off-worlders are pulling back on releasing some of the important supportive technology for humanity, because the focus has shifted to technology is the piece that that's the big move they're about to make, is to, so anything to do with creating an, you know, AI dominant model, everything to do with the satellite networks, all of that is the top priority now. It's gone, it's moved into front stage, because if they can get enough of that in place, that becomes a system that we are then in a kind of a gridlock within. And a lot of that stuff can unfold quickly. So now, but it's amazing because the off-worlders are saying, we're pulling back. We were seeing humanity could be ready for us to release some of this technology to be used beneficially, and they're pulling way back and going, nope, not ready, because it's going to get grabbed. The guides just kept saying technology grab, technology grab. So, you know, and that could be somehow related to cryptocurrency. So I really feel like the energy is going to be about creating this digital currency, AI controlled, and it comes in with all these other technology pieces that's what they're really working to maneuver quickly into place. So
that is what you just said, as I see it, and I wonder if you see it in a similar way. What they have been doing with, for example, not only the sanctions on Russia, we are talking money printing through the last 2 years, okay, everywhere, but especially like the last stage of those sanctions, they are deliberately destroying all the economies all around the world for having a ground to introduce and implement the solution. So like, you know, like we know, problem, reaction, solution, right? So the solution is the digital currency. But again, Ashala, this on my last chat, I think with I.L. Gray, this concept that they have, it cannot be implemented overnight or even within a week or a month or so, because there are so many people, like I said, it's older generation, there are people who will be completely unable to understand that system.
Absolutely. 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 So there's some other forerunner that relates to technology and AI, and like, I don't know exactly what it is. This is just the first bit of wave of, I'm sure in a couple of weeks, I'm going to know more, because these things show up a lot of times in readings. People are asking specific questions, and then all of a sudden new pieces of information come through. So well, stay tuned for more about this, because I've got my eyes on this now. And it just, as soon as it literally, like, I felt her guides, the off-world guides, and like as soon as she asked this question about a particular technology, it felt like these doors opened, and it was just like I got blasted with this like energy of, okay, this is really important, and this is what's going on, and this is where we're at. And the off-worlders are going like, we are closing it down, because that's their, like, it's kind of, if you think about it, the way they're maneuvering to where can they kind of get their hands on something that's going to create more of this dominance and control matrix for them, right? So again,
yes,
the matrix energy.
But then, you know, I also wait, and we will connect for that also later, when before the end of June, when Putin will make this announcement. You remember, I always remember this.
Exactly, I know.
This announcement about ruble, yes.
Yeah, I'm getting something else too. I'm actually getting that it's going to be related to food shortage. And what they're going to do is have something so it won't necessarily be like, we don't have to go all the way through the, you know, shifting into digital currency and the equivalency with crypto and dollars and all that stuff. It's literally going to be like credit, some kind of credit system where, like, because if people are need help, right, it'll be like, okay, well, it's like food stamps from the wartime.
I lived through that when I was a child. We had food stamps when I was living in communism. Like
yeah, that's separate from currency, right? Like that's just like literally.
No, we had portion. Yeah. Exactly. We could only buy this much of this meat and this much, and we had per family, depending how many people. And then but on the top of it, the meat stores were empty.
Yes, so it's control the supply chain and have everything automated. Control how things get moved around, and then control where you access. Like, you wouldn't even necessarily go to a grocery store to get this stuff. You'd have to line up at some kind of like distribution center or something. So, and then it's a credit score. It's like a credit thing that's digital, or I don't know how they're going to do that, but like maybe you have to sign in every time you go or something. So this is the kind of thing. you see it moves us around the messiness of, like you were saying, like how are they going to implement digital currency overnight and get us onto that grid? Well, there's a much easier grid to get us onto, which is like a social credit system based on distribution of goods, particularly food. Because just look back at what happened during the war. Rations,
Yes.
restrictions, you know, like people actually literally had to sometimes go to a depot to pick up their rations, and you'd have coupons. So it's like there's something like that is what I feel is.
So but then are we going to stand up or
So our work between now and then is to prepare to have alternate sources of food. It's to prepare to say, you know what, I'm not going to go line up to get a bag of rice and a bag of flour from who knows where it comes from.
Right.
And I'm going to have to pay for it with a coupon, which means I have to be on this digital social credit system matrix. I'm going to look around. What can I grow? Who do I know? Where are the farmers? Make connections, like go out of your city into the rural areas and actually, like, yeah, let's figure out, you know, buy some bulk goods. And just, we need to start thinking differently about our basic needs. We are going to be having to let go of certain kinds of luxuries, you know, and I really embrace this. I mean, I've done this for years. I'll put myself, like this summer, I'm doing a real sort of living off grid. I love doing this. And I'm going to be, of course, I will have a place where I can be, you know, where I'm going to be staying and doing my work out of, but I'm going to spend a lot of the time like camping and living outside and being in nature. And it's like, okay, I won't have this, I won't have that, I won't have this, I won't have that. It's a beautiful weather. I get to be in nature. And it's just this kind of training of how to not be so dependent and so fearful about not having certain things. It's like, okay, well, you don't have your coffee maker, you don't have your whatever. And it's temporary. Again, we don't have to live like this forever, but we want to empower ourselves long enough that they don't get that stranglehold on us, where we're willing to give up everything to stand in line and get our whatever.
So Ashala, do you think this is like
delivered by Amazon or something horrible, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But do you think this is the last attempt with this financial? Because I do have a feeling that we might actually. That's why I'm waiting for Putin to see what ultimately will happen to ruble, if this is going to be backed by gold, how this will go, right? So I still have the sense that we will have currencies that will be actually backed by gold. So my question now is that I didn't have really written here, but it's in relationship to this money situation. Do you think this is like the last harsh attempt and push from the dark side? And then how you see the ending?
Well, it's, you know, it's not going
to. Yes. Okay. Yes.
It's not going to happen. Like when you say the ending, yeah, it will take still quite a long time. It's almost like, I'm trying to think of an example, like where something is phased out, but it's still around for quite a long time and like slowly being phased out. So it's just like it's going to become, oh, I know, there's an example of something like organizations like the Salvation Army, for example, where back in the 30s and the 40s and, you know, like the sort of post-war times, that organization was so predominant, like it was in everything, right? It was like, you know, all the different aspects of social service. And then, you know, now we still have, technically that organization is still around, but it does so little, you know, like it's just so minimal. And, you know, same with our legions, for example, you know, they were huge after the wars, and slowly over time, you know, they've become this smaller and smaller portion of what society
irrelevant,
like kind of irrelevant, you know. And even we can say that about the major religions and how, you know, I mean, they're enjoying a revival in certain areas, and certain forms of them are enjoying a revival, but like things go through these waves. And so this model that we've been under with the currency, with the political you know, control and all that sort of stuff, there, it's still going to be there for quite a long time, and they're still going to be working it as best they can. But I just feel like it's slowly going to fade into obscurity, because it's going to be just a certain demographic of people that are so hooked on that they just want to be, they want everything done for them, right? And they don't want to have to do much, they don't want to have to suffer and go without anything, they just want to, you know, but what they are given is more and more and more limited and limited and limited. So I get that in terms of the really big push, what, like maybe a year and a half longer to see them really start to go into decline in a huge way. But they're still going to be around. We're not going to see this, maybe even in our lifetime, there's still going to be a version of this around. And it's really for us not to take that on, because there's just so much more amazing stuff to focus on. Like, it's sort of like, yeah, let them get on with it. They still do have sway and influence, massive. I'm not denying that. And that will probably be the way for another year and a half. But boy, the eyes are on them now. Like, they're not going to be able to get away with just rampant control measures, because they're being called out. So good for that.
Yes. In our lifetime, we're actually going to be free from this, you and I.
Well, you know, the guides are saying we're already free. We're already free because we see it clearly, and we're starting to create alternatives. That's freedom. The freedom is in the alternative. Because if we just keep looking at it going, oh, it's coming at us, or it's doing all this, and we're sort of waiting for it to stop doing that.
And choices. It's all about choices.
All about choices. So we're basically saying, I'm not going to wait for them to stop. I'm going to start doing something different, which creates an alternative so that it doesn't affect me as much anymore. And that's where the redundancy starts coming in. It's like, well, if people have become very, you know, intelligent and ingenious in how they're solving these problems, we have so many tools and resources at our disposal, and we are connected. We are connected on the internet. We don't have to go out and pound the pavement. I mean, you can look for food suppliers in your area without even hitting the road, you know, like you can go online and look, and you can order your stuff that way. Things like, you know, collective buying clubs. I saw that, you know, a year ago when I was doing readings with people, and I actually did readings for this group of ladies. I can't remember where they were, in the Midwest somewhere in the US, and they had formed this buying club. There was just about half a dozen of them, and they lived in different places, and one of them would source meat, and one of them would source, like, just, you know, honey, and one of them would source this and that or whatever, and then they would all drive around to each other's places and make their deliveries once a month, or a couple of, you know, every second month or something like that. And it's like, okay, we should start to think outside the box, be a little bit ingenious with all of this,
and more healthy and much more higher quality products.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. So there's so much to talk about in that direction, but just safe to say, as long as we're focusing on creating the alternative, they have less and less and less power with these models that they're attempting to put forth. So
thank you, Ashala. We're going to keep an eye on it, as we always do, especially with this situation. Let's go to United Kingdom, because now, actually, as I'm aware, between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. European time. So in England, I think it already happened. So I'm not aware what has happened. However, I still want to ask you this question, because it's not just about Boris Johnson. This will be about United Kingdom overall. But what's taking place right now as we are speaking, maybe already took place. There is a vote of non-confidence for Boris Johnson. 54 Conservative MPs have asked for a vote of non-confidence. That means that there will be a decision, there will be voting if he will still remain the representative of the Conservative Party. Now, this looks like that, you know, very, very soon this Prime Minister of UK will be gone. But he is just a front man, right? He's just a symbol. There's a lot of challenges in England, economical, immigration challenges. I think one of our talks, we will focus on this, but not today, on the migration. But I would like to know, with this voting going on today, and the result of this voting, how the future for United Kingdom will look like within, let's say, the next year or two, what they can expect.
Okay, well, it's interesting. We're talking about redundancy, and literally just as you were asking the question and I was shuffling cards, one of the cards flew onto the floor, actually. I'm going to pick it up and tell you. It is the Four of Pentacles, which is, it's really about, you know, you see this fellow is holding on to all these pentacles. He's got them under his feet. He's got, like, it's really about like dominance and power and structure and rigidity and like hanging on. And it literally flew like goodbye. And so what it feels like is that there's, again, there's this sense of the power dominant controllers are going almost into hiding. Like they're pulling back. They're pulling back. It's almost like they are going into retreat mode is what I'm getting. Like kind of like, let's sort of dismantle ourselves. Let's dismantle the old system. So we're going to see a lot of dismantling happening. Now, again, does that mean it's going away? We're never going to have to deal with it again? No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is that we've got them on the run, which is good. However, it creates a power vacuum. So what I see here, which is very, very encouraging, is this is right now the UK. Everybody's kind of literally kind of protecting themselves, holding on, like what to expect, don't know where to go, don't know what move to make. But we are in the next 3 months, there's this, I want to say almost like a reawakening. And it feels very much connected to a kind of pride or a kind of like national pride. And what I get is it feels like it's almost connected to the working class.
Can I ask you, because sorry,
it's connected to the working class. It's connected to, it feels like it has to do with like kind of upping their game in terms of their commodities and their resources. And it's like, it feels like perhaps industry, like a revival of something.
You know, can I just say, Ashala, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah.
I think you froze on my side.
Okay.
But I think that might be again issue with my internet. So maybe the recording will be smoothly. So I have to see how this recording goes. So everyone who's watching, because I could hear everything you were saying, it's just your picture froze. Okay. So I'm sorry for the quality. I hope you are okay. If I froze, it's fine, but your message was going through, but just I couldn't see the movement. I could hear the message. So you said there will be a revival. That's what I heard, right?
Yeah.
Revival within next 2-3 months.
Yeah.
from like a working class or
yeah, it feels like working class and industry and like commodities. I don't know. It's like I have to apologize because when my mind is in the channeling mode, it's not the same part of the mind that has the intellectual, vocabulary. So I'm kind of going like, what's that word again? But basically you get what I'm talking about. It's that there will be, I feel like the spirit of the people is going to rise, and in a good way, like taking the reins. So we've got the controllers stepping back, and like into that power vacuum wants to go like the common people and the common good, and a sense of almost like getting back to basics, getting productivity is a big word. So instead of freezing and going, oh no, like what do we do? It's like, get out there and start rebuilding your economy. I just feel like a lot of grassroots initiatives, people are kind of getting up off their seat. It's like people literally, you see people all over the world have been sitting on their seats, glued to their computers or their TVs or whatever, where they're getting their information, and just kind of like stunned, like deers in the headlight. And it's time for us to get out and do, if you want to see the change, be the change.
Yes, I agree with you.
Feels like the UK has incredible resources that they're not tapping. I mean, like in terms of people and like industry, and it feels like it could be a revival. There could be a real revival in the UK. All the ingredients are there. People have to take the initiative to do that and not wait for the government to organize it for them.
Okay. It's interesting. Now, when you finish the message, the motion came back.
So I'm wiggling around, which I do anyway.
So I'm sorry. I don't even know what will be the final. Going to post it, because as long as I can hear, that's important message. So I think maybe I will end here, although I had one more question, but I'm going to leave this question for next week, because next week I would like to focus on the supermoon, the strawberry moon, they say, because we will be very close to the date, and that question might be, I will just give you a glimpse of this, okay? So people can stay tuned for next week. It's about someone who's going to be released from jail on June 15th, and that person is Johnhinckley, who was the person who was trying to kill Ronald Reagan, and they are releasing him. And I came across the comment from Tori, but I will ask you a question about it next week.
Okay. Wonderful.
Dive into it, because this is still like, he's not released yet, I think, on June 15th. So I'm going to ask you specifically, I think today we're going to end on this. Okay. Ashala, thank you so much. What would you like to say to the audience as far as the readings? The readings, you are open for the readings?
Yes, I'm open for the readings. I'm open for the whole summer. I'm going down to a bit of a more limited schedule. However, I still have my special on till the 21st of June, which is 21% off if you purchase your reading before the 21st. So you still have a little bit of time to do that. And there will be a link to how you can book the reading below, and also the complimentary coupon that you can access to receive the discount.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching, and I apologize for the quality. I have to really do everything to check with this internet what's going on, but I'm looking forward to connecting with Ashala next week and diving into more questions. I think we'll leave it here for today. Thank you for subscribing to both of our channels. All the links to Ashala you find down below. Leave the comment. If you're in UK, you can let us know how is the situation and other places as well. And lots of love, everyone. Until next time.
Bye-bye.